You were still sitting beside his lifeless body, unable to move, unable to breathe in a world that no longer held him. Hours had passed since the gunshot, but the ringing in your ears hadn't faded, just like the ache in your chest that burned hotter with every shallow breath. His blood had long soaked into the floor, warm at first, now cold and sticky against your skin where you had held him, refusing to let go even as the light left his eyes. His face was pale, yet the tear streaks glistened across his cheeks, as though the war he fought within himself had followed him into death. Your fingers traced the dried line of salt water down his jaw, trembling, broken, but desperate to hold on to even the finest trace of him. He never knew the life inside you, his child, the only piece of him that would remain. That truth sat heavy on your chest, a silent scream you could never give him now, and now the weight of it tore your heart in ways no bullet ever could. Your body was exhausted and drained from endless sobbings until no tears would come, but still you couldn't leave him. The world around you had dimmed. The mansion, once roaring with power, was now nothing but quiet walls watching you grieve. You kept your forehead pressed to his, the metallic scent of blood thick in the air, and whispered words you wished he had heard when he was still alive. Promises, apologies, confessions, all spilling into the silence where his heartbeat used to be. The floor beneath you was cold, but your womb carried warmth, a fragile flicker of life he would never hold, never even know existed. And as you sat there, trembling in grief, you realized this was the cruelest punishment fate could give to love a man who never believed he was worthy of love and to carry the only proof of his humanity within you when he could no longer be there to see it. Cut. Perfect. That's a wrap. The director's voice echoed through the set, breaking the tense silence that still lingered from the emotional scene. The entire crew broke into applause, some even whistling in appreciation. The atmosphere shifted instantly from tragic intensity to celebrity cheer. Jungkook, still laying on the floor with fake blood smeared across his temple, blinked against the studio lights. He slowly sat up, removing the prop gun from his hand and wiping the stickily red liquid from his cheek. His dark eyes flickered towards you. For a fleeting second, you thought you saw softness in them, an acknowledgement of the heavy moment you both had just created on screen. But it vanished as quickly as it came. He turned his face away sharply, jaw tightening. Instead of returning your faint smile, he gave you a sharp glare, cold and cutting like a wall between you both. You quickly looked down, trying to suppress the laugh bubbling You entered the vanity van, closing the door softly behind you. The faint hum of the AC filled the silence, blending with the distant sound from outside the set. The space smelled of faint cologne and makeup powder, instantly grounding you in the familiarity of his presence. There he was sitting in front of the wide mirror, shoulder relaxed, scrolling lazily through his phone as if he had nothing to do with the storm of emotions that had just passed on set. His reflection caught sight of you before he turned his head, and even though his expression was unreadable, you still walked towards him with the kind of instinct you had developed only after years of marriage, knowing that even if he pretended to be distant, his heart was never really far from you. After washing your face and fixing your hair a little, you padded silently towards him, your lips curving into a soft smile. Wrapping your arms around his shoulders from behind, you pressed your cheeks against his temple before placing a string of light kisses across his cheek. He didn't react at first, and that made you pout deeper, your lips grazing his skin as you whispered in the softest tone, "Are you still angry? Tell me, and if you are, then don't be, because today was the last day of shoot. No more of that awkwardness, no more of those forced lines. It's done." He slowly set his phone down on the vanity table, his gaze lifting towards your reflection in the mirror. He studied the pout on your lips, the exaggerated way your brows pulled together, and those pleading puppy eyes you always used when you wanted to break his wall. His lips twitched like he was fighting a smile, but he tried his best to keep his seriousness. "You know what bothers me?" he began, turning slightly in his chair so he could half face you. "I have done every single troop with you, every single one. CEO and secretary, mafia boss and Mafia boss and innocent girl, enemies to lovers, professor and student, everything. And I did it gladly because it was with you. But this stepfather, stepdaughter nonsense." His eyes narrowed as he pointed a finger at you with mock accusation. "It was awkward as hell calling my own wife a stepdaughter. Do you realize how wrong that sounded? And you, Mrs. John?" He leaned back and crossed his arm, his voice tinged with playful annoyance. "You literally forced me to do this troop. You knew how much I hated the idea, but still you handed me the script and gave me no escape." You gasped dramatically, pulling away from his shoulders only to lean forward and rest your chin on the top of his head like an innocent child. "Forced you? Who forced you? Who's the writer of this drama? You teased, tracing invisible circles on his shoulder with your fingers. "If you are the writer, then why are you throwing tantrums now? You are acting like some rookie actor who can't handle his role." He turned his head sharply, his eyes locking with yours in the mirror, and with a smirk that made your heart skip, he said, "Yes, I'm the writer, but let me make one thing very clear. I never wanted you and me in this particular drama. I wrote it with someone else in mind. You are the one who barged in, waving your puppy eyes, and made me agree. And now," he let out a deep breath, looking almost exasperated, though his tone softened as he continued, "Do you know how many times I cringed today while saying those lines? Stepdaughter. Do you know what that implies?" His voice dipped, lowering his gaze more serious now as he added, "That troop literally forced the stepfather on the stepdaughter, and I looked at you during the scene and thought, how could I ever after all these years?" He paused, his jaw tightening as if the thought itself disgusted him. Then turning to look at you fully, his eyes softened and his words carried weight. "All these years of marriage, did I ever once force you? Did I ever touch you without your yes? We have 12 kids, Ryan, 12. And every single time I asked for your consent." His voice cracked just slightly at the end, his passion betraying his calm composure. Your lips parted as a chuckle escaped you, unable to stop the laughter bubbling inside. "Oh my god," you whispered, shaking your head as you tried to stifle your giggles. Only you could take a script this seriously and bring our whole married life into the argument. You bent down and pressed a kiss to his jaw before adding softly, "Yes, my love, you never once forced me. Not once, and you don't have to remind me. I know it better than anyone. You have always been careful with me, even when I didn't need you to be. Even when I wanted you to forget boundaries, you still asked." You kissed him again, lingering longer this time before pulling back with playful mischief in your eyes. "But admit it, you only hate the truth because you couldn't stop thinking about us while delivering those lines. It made you uncomfortable because you can't separate me from the character, and that, Mr. Writer, is your own fault. You love me too much." He exhaled heavily, his lips finally curving into the smallest chuckle. His hands reached for your wrist, gently pulling you from behind the chair until you were standing in front of him. With a swift move, he tugged you down onto his lap, one hand immediately circling your waist while the other tilted your chin up. His eyes still held a hint of mock frustration, but his smile betrayed him. "You're impossible," he murmured before pressing his lips against yours in a kiss that stayed soft but grew deeper as his fingers tightened around your waist. When he pulled away, his forehead rested against yours, his breath warm against your lips. "You know, I can never stay mad at you for long, even when you drive me insane," he chuckled against, shaking his head as though defeated. "Fine, you win. Just don't ever make me do something like this again, alright? Mafia bosses, professors, kings, whatever you want, I'll play them all, but no more stepfather." You leaned into him, resting your head against his chest, grinning smugly. "Deal," you whispered, snuggling closer as his arms wrapped around you tighter. "But you should know one thing, you look really hot when you're angry." He groaned dramatically, throwing his head back against the chair while you laughed into his shirt, and the two of you sat there, wrapped in love, playfulness, and the kind of bond that no awkward trope could ever touch.